This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who rode the pine. I'm your host, David, and today's game will be pitting the Benchwarmer team of Scott and Matt versus Benchwarmer Dan and Equipment Manager for our Patreon team and returning player, Hugh Gitlin. Welcome back to the bench, Hugh. It's nice to meet you. Why don't you take a minute to remind us of where you're from, what teams you root for, anything else you want to share?
Thanks, David. I'm from Mendota Heights, Minnesota, which is just south of St. Paul. And I root for all the Minnesota teams. And I have a soft spot for the Arizona Diamondbacks because my nephew's down there. And I think the Loons should fire Adrian Heath just for losing the USA Cup game to Omaha.
We were done with Omaha, I thought.
I keep hearing this, but I also thought we were done with Minnesota. And Hugh's here, so... No.
There's too much Minnesota, but we're not done with it.
I live in Omaha, and I'm done with Omaha. So,
Yet more Minnesota. All right. Well, Dan, how are you doing tonight? And tell us what your and Hugh's team name is going to be.
Well, first of all, Hugh said his own city's name wrong, and if he's Clem Haskins, which would be Mendota Heights.
Mendota Heights.
I forgot about that.
I used to live in Falcon Height.
Just a singular.
Yeah. Anyway,
I have friends in Invergrove Height.
Invergrove Height. There's a lot of heights.
There are.
I'm pretty sure that's what Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the musical about.
In the Height?
No, but it was co-written by Clem Haskins. It was in the Height.
In the Height would be much easier to rhyme than in the Heights, just for the record.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I've been warmed up for this recording for about a half an hour now, and we're all ready to go, which is going to bring us to our team name. We were originally going to be a riff on a team that Scott and I were at one point. We were going to be Gopher Big Fudge with the Gopher spelled Gopher. See what we did there? But in light of everything that's gone down over the past 15 minutes, we are now going to be Gopher Big Dongle.
We might need to give some reference as to what that means.
I thought that it was self-explanatory.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Apparently, there's a thing called a dongle.
And that's where you're leaving the story. That's all you want.
And David was having a problem with his.
and that's where Manscaped comes in.
Look up dongle. If you need to look up dongle, you shouldn't have to. But if you need to look up what a dongle is, look it up. It's safe for work. You're fine.
That's true.
Use promo code BENCH at 20% off when you're cleaning your dongle.
Okay, we're going straight to the toilet here, apparently.
Yeah, that's right. Let me move this along. Scott, Matt, what you got?
I'll go first since you came up with the team name. I'm doing good. Been busy, just really, really busy. Yeah, that's about it. Getting excited for July when Bayern plays Man City in Lambeau. So not excited about what Bayern's going to have for striker at that moment, but we'll see.
I have Matt Bingo. I just got Matt Bingo on my bingo card.
Oh, easily. We're done. Busy and Bayern and well, he hasn't mentioned Lewandowski by name, but I guess he wouldn't anymore.
No, but he did say, I'll go first because Scott has our team name. That's also on the
that's true. That's true. All right, Scott, make it so.
I'm good. Just got back from camped over the long weekend. We're recording after Memorial Day, so that was a lot of fun. Played a lot of ladder golf. Had a good time. So I'm a little exhausted, but I'm excited to be here. It's a David game. I'm excited to meet Hugh. Hugh, it's nice to officially meet you. I feel like I've known you my whole life. Just based on your presence on our podcast here. It always fascinates me when we have 2, 3, 4-time players and I haven't met them yet since I'm on like every game. So the ones that somehow manage to elude me on this schedule, it's always fascinating. So it's a pleasure to meet you. I wish you all the worst in this game. But yeah, Matt and I, listen, we know we don't have a lot going on upstairs in more ways than one. We show that off on this podcast. So we're just going to embrace it and let you guys know that we're bald and not beautiful. So that's our team name.
Is that supposed to be describing both of you, or is one of you bald and the other one is not beautiful? I didn't catch that.
Just like your dongle, I thought that was pretty self-explanatory.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So we've got bald and not beautiful against go for big dongle. That's going to get tiring to say for sure. But I think we're ready to go. So without further ado, let's kick it over to Dan for the rules.
We'll be starting off with the coin flip question to warm up the teams. This will be followed by 4 quarters of play, each with a different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions pertaining to sports. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
Okay, it's time for our coin flip. It's a 50-50 warm-up question. It's worth 10 points. Hugh, I don't know if you've been here for one of our games when we've had a coin flip, but this is going to go to your team since you're our guest. And tonight's coin flip question is, to date, who has more career field goals? David Akers or Isaac Hartenstein?
It's Isaiah.
Oh, sorry, what did I just say? Did I say Isaac? I'm going to read that again. I wrote Isaiah and I said it out loud wrong. That was terrible. Sorry.
You even checked the pronunciation before the game. I know,
name,
but you didn't check the pronunciation of the first.
No,
name.
it wasn't that.
That's my favorite part about this whole deal.
All right, here we go. Here's our coin flip question. To date, who has more career field goals, David Akers or Isaiah Hartenstein?
Guess what? It's going to be really close because I guarantee that David looked up Isaiah Hartenstein.
No, he looked up Isaac Hartenstein.
Found out how many field goals he had, and then found a football player who had a comparable number. So,
God,
honestly, Hugh, pick one. That's what it's going to be. It's a coin flip here.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go with Akers. No reason.
All right, we're checking in with David Akers. I'm sorry, no, Isaac Akers.
Right. Exactly. So checking in with Akers. And I will tell you, yes, this question is dedicated to Scott and Marcus, who were riffing about useless power forwards on a recent episode. So decided to work this into a coin flip because it was the only way I could work it in. So David Akers has 386 field goals, and of course is the career leader for the Eagles. Isaiah Hartenstein, on the other hand, well, I don't have anything to say about him. He's Isaiah Hartenstein. He has 387 field goals.
Whoa.
So I'm afraid the answer is Isaiah, or don't call me Isaac Hartenstein.
This is the first time Isaiah Hartenstein's name's come up on this.
No, except for the episode that broke wind, whatever it was last week. Yeah.
Oh, so we're going to make a thing out of this now.
Isaiah or Isaac, that might be a t-shirt in itself.
Love that name. Isaac.
So going into the first quarter, we have scores of Bald and Not Beautiful with 10 points and Go for Big Dongle with 0.
Before we get to the first quarter, we wanted to let you know that we are on Patreon if you'd be interested in supporting us financially. Your contributions will be used to help us cover the costs that it takes to bring you the high-quality sports trivia you have come to expect from us. There's also some great perks that come with the Patreon membership to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, including bonus episodes and Benchwarmers swag. You can find us at patreon.com/benchwarmerstp. Thanks.
Our first quarter tonight will be Sporting Haikus.
Sporting Haikus. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 25 points.
Question number 1 in Sporting Haikus. DROTY. Brothers both have won award, both on West Coast teams.
All right, we're checked in.
Bold and Not Beautiful have checked in. Go for Big Dongle. Talk it out.
Took me a second to even come up with DROTY.
It's Defensive Rookie of the Year.
It is.
Yeah, so it's football.
Do you have anything on this?
Ohio State defensive ends. I know who they are. One's in One's in LA. The other's up in San Francisco.
Okay. Why am I having a hard time with this right
And
now?
I'm just blanking on the name.
Do you need to go somewhere, Dan?
Already?
Way too early in the game.
It's happened early once.
While you're in there, see if you can find Hartenstein's first name for me.
Are they are they like current?
Yeah. One's with the Chargers and the other's with the Niners.
Niners.
Yeah.
Oh, the last name we're looking for, Bosa, Bosa.
Bosa, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. I don't know why that. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, we're checking in with Bosa.
All right. And Bold and Not Beautiful, what did you have?
Yeah, a few minutes ago we also said Bosa. We also came up with Bosa.
Yes, that is correct. And Hugh had it spot on. Nick Bosa's with the 49ers, Joey Bosa's with the Charger. They have not been giving the defensive rookie of the year for that long, but they are the only two brothers to have won. So nice job. Points all the way around.
Can you think of any other brothers where one is like very good looking and the other one looks like a horse? As much as the Bosas, like, man, they don't look like brothers at all. Like at least all the Gronkowskis, they all look like horses. At least it's consistent in the family, you know?
And all the Watt brothers look alike too.
Yeah.
Is it same mom, same dad? I wonder if like that's a gene pool we shouldn't be fooling around in anyway. But
You're saying Nick has a dad and Joey's dad was an actual horse?
He was BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman. Bosa Horseman?
We have an early contender for episode title. Bosa Horseman. BosaJack Horseman.
all right. Sporting Haikus number 2. Olympic silver, season record for most dunks, first COVID hoopster.
I know that I got this one, Matt.
Love it.
Checked in.
Bold and Not Beautiful have checked in. So once again, go for big dongle.
It's Rudy Gobert.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Check in with Rudy Gobert.
All right. Bold and Not Beautiful, what'd you have?
Same. Yeah, it was a sad day when we all were kind of waiting for it, right? And then we finally got the notification that the first NBA player tested positive. It's Mr. Bubble himself, Rudy Gobert.
And he decided to touch all the microphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was in the early days. I mean, obviously we don't know that he was really the first COVID hoopster, but it was such a big deal when he got it. And everybody was so paranoid because he was doing the whole germ touch of like every microphone, every chair, and everyone was like, wipe all that stuff down. Yeah. So well done to both teams. Well done.
I like to call him Rudy Gobert. Ebert. Gobert. Ebert.
Gobert. Book. Yes.
Ernie.
All right. Question number 3 in Sporting Haikus. For 2 straight seasons, led off first game with home run. Did the trash can help?
Okay, let's do it. We're gonna go ahead and check in.
Bold and Not Beautiful have checked in. Go for Big Dongo once again. Talk it out.
Was Altuve the leadoff hitter, or was it Correa?
Speaking of COVID,
Yeah.
That's right. That was accidental, but yeah, sure.
again, we're into current sports, which is just not my thing. And
If we're talking about 21, 22, then it's not Correa. It has to be Altuve then, or it could be Bregman. But Bregman didn't lead off. Bregman was never the leadoff hitter, was he? But looking at the guy who's asking the questions, I mean, Bregman is Jewish, so
I don't think that we can count on that being the missing link here. When we get to the missing link, maybe it is. I don't. Could you do a full missing link?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
We have this pamphlet on famous Jewish athletes.
I don't know. It's probably going to be
Altuve.
Altuve. Yeah, let's just go. Let's go with Altuve.
All right, Bold and Not Beautiful. What did you have?
Yeah, we checked in with Altuve also.
Neither team will be receiving points. The leadoff hitter actually for the Astros then was George Springer.
Matt sent Altuve. I sent Springer. I said it's one of the two because I knew they were 1-2 in the lineup.
No, you're right. Altuve, I think, often hits second. I think he was that sort of conventional second hitter.
It's that Derek Jeter thing, right? Where everyone always thinks Jeter was a leadoff hitter, but he wasn't.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Number two.
But George Springer is actually the first guy to lead off consecutive years, have a leadoff home run in the first game in consecutive years. He did it in 17-18. So I saw that stat recently tried to make it into a haiku. But Altuve, a respectable guess for sure. All right. Question number 4 of our sporting haikus. For some reason, this one just reminds me of something Dan might do. Game of 501. Minimum darts required to complete a game.
Can I use my calculator?
Yep, this one's all you, buddy. I don't even know what he said.
We're gonna check in.
All right. Bald and Not Beautiful have checked in once again. Go for Big Dongle.
It's 9 because 180, 180.
And then 140, 141, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going to be 9. It's going to be 9 darts.
9.
Yeah. So 9 darts.
Yep.
Check that in.
Bold and Not Beautiful. What did you guys have?
We said 10, so I forgot that there was a 21 you can get with 777s. So, yep. So we're wrong.
Well, one team is receiving points, and just to sort of complete this, the answer is 9. I found myself in just watching YouTube videos. I don't know how I stumbled into this, but these dart tournaments are so funny because, of course, the whole action is taking place in about 10 feet of space, but there look like hundreds of people there. And you can watch these videos where people hit and the English guys are saying a 9 darter. They're very excited. The most common way, actually, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But Hugh, you were right. It goes 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. And then most of them, they do triple 20, triple 19, double 12 or something like that. Because they try to spread them out where they can. But there are a lot of different configurations for doing it. It's pretty fun to watch.
What's those guys go? Those guys go insane. The announcers.
The announcers do, and the fans do. It's really, yeah, absolutely.
I've hit a triple 20, a running triple 20 once. I've done that once in my life, so I can't imagine doing it again and then doing it 2 more times and then hitting the 21. I just can't imagine doing that.
All right. So after the first quarter, we have scores of Go for Big Dongle with 75. A small lead or over Bold and Not Beautiful with 60. That takes us to the second quarter, which will be the missing link.
There it is. The missing link. This quarter will consist of 5 questions with theme-linked answers. The teams will attempt to answer the questions and guess the theme. Each question is worth 20 points. If a team checks in first via chat to the host with the correct theme before the 5th question, they will earn 100 points. The other team can still earn 50 points with the correct theme guess. If neither team has checked in with the correct theme before the 5th question, each team can earn 50 points with the correct answer to the theme after the 5th question. Nobody saw that coming.
Shocker.
No.
One of these days, I'm going to work it into the 4th quarter. All right.
Don't do that.
No, I'm just kidding. Josh's head will explode. I will never do that. Anyway, all right. Question number 1 of our missing link. The only person to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year for 2 different teams, and the only one to win the award 10 plus years apart.
Let's check that in.
Yeah.
All right, we'll check in.
All right, Go for Big Dongo for the first time this evening has checked in. So Bold and Not Beautiful. What you got?
Yeah,
Well,
it seems like both of us, our first initial reaction was Charles Woodson. That's where my mind first went, just because of the longevity. And I remember him winning it on the Packers.
What was his rookie year?
98, 99?
So he won it in 2009 with the Packers.
So that means he would have had to have won it in 99.
And either his rookie or his second year.
Which seems unlikely for a defensive back. Just
Mhm.
because it's hard enough for a defensive back to win that award once, let alone twice. That's why I also thought, is this
Actually,
a defensive
I'm
end?
changing my mind. You know who I think it might be? Reggie White.
Oh. Yeah, that would make more sense. That's more likely to happen.
I know he won it in 98 or 90
Right.
something. 90.
And he could have easily won it in 88, 87-ish
Yeah, with the Eagles.
with Philly. It makes more sense just because, again, historically, the sack guys win those awards more than defensive backs do.
Yeah.
So I probably like that better. And I think that White is probably just a better answer for a missing link. It opens up a lot of doors.
There you go. How about that?
So
Let's go with it.
I'm good with it. All right, we're going to check in with Not Packer Charles Woodson, but Packer Reggie White.
All right, and go for Big Dongo. What did you have?
We checked in at the same time. Reggie White. It's like first name that came to both of our minds was Reggie White, so we went with Reggie White.
All right, both teams receiving points. Yeah, Reggie White won in 87 with the Eagles and then not again until 98 with the Packers. So good call, Matt. Well done. Way to call off the Woodson thing. I think Woodson only won once, and I think your logic was right, Scott. It's super hard to break into the league and win quickly as a cornerback.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, you'd have to be like Trayvon Diggs or, you'd have to do something like that.
It's funny. Somehow your sound glitched, right? To me anyway, when you said, it's the sack guys who win. I thought you said it's the fat guys who normally win.
I mean,
that's probably
the same, right?
Right, exactly.
Did Vince Wilfork win it?
I don't think he did.
Terrence Knighton, pot roast.
Right, the fridge never won. That's for sure.
Right.
All right. Question number 2 of our missing link. Once number 1 in Division I college basketball men's coaching wins, he is now number 6. Though he is still one of only 2 to win a title as both a player and a coach.
Oh,
That's right. We can check that in.
okay.
We'll check in.
Yeah.
All right. Go for Big Dongle is checked in. Bald and not beautiful. Talk it out.
All right, Matt. So we've got to think of big time coaches who are high on the list that also played, right, at a school that would have been successful early on, depending on the coach. Like Boeheim played, right? But I don't know.
Oh, Boeheim.
Right, but was he number
Would
one
he have
ever?
been number
I don't think he
one?
was ever one, right? This guy's going to be one, before the Krzyzewskis and the Boeheims and those guys come the list, you would think. So who was one in
so
like
other-
the 80s?
Other coaches that played. Bobby Knight never won a championship, did he? With Ohio State? No.
With Indiana?
Well, no, because it says.
Oh, when he was playing?
Right?
Yeah. No, I don't think Ohio State won back then.
Did Jim Calhoun play?
No idea. I don't know that he ever would have been number 1 though, Jim Calhoun.
Yeah, same time.
Like, because again, that's why I'm thinking this is someone that maybe coached in like the 70s or the 80s, played in the 50s, maybe early 60s.
Dean Smith?
Could be.
I don't even know if he
Smith
played.
might have been number 1 at some point. That sounds.
I mean, Dean Smith seems
feasible.
logical that he would have been number 1 in wins, but I don't know if he ever played, and I don't know if he ever won a national championship as a player.
No idea. And there's other guys who are some older guys. Adolph Rupp, was he ever like number 1?
Yeah.
He was probably
I'm
number 1
assuming
in
he was
wins.
number 1 like back in the 70s, before.
Yeah,
some of these
right. But I'm
big
thinking when
names
he
came
played,
in.
did they even have basketball? Like back when he was young enough to have been.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even
He's
know
like
that
David's age, so it's like
because he would have been coaching in the 40s when they started or the 30s when they started the national championship, right? So maybe he wanted as a player coach.
maybe. I mean, they did that a lot back then, right?
In
Man.
college? Player coach.
That's why it was funny, Dan.
That's
Our coach is
impressive.
this sophomore over here.
They just saw a lot of potential in him. All right.
All right.
Man.
Okay, so
I just don't know who else would have been number 1. Like Don Chaney, was he ever number 1? Did he play?
I have no idea.
Don Chaney has been 80 years old for the last
I
45
know.
years.
I know. I know it's like this isn't. You're not supposed to say this person's name. This is like a Voldemort thing. But Don Chaney's got that Bill Cosby effect, right? It's like the Morgan Freeman effect. They've just always been old.
Always been
Like
old,
even
yeah.
when you see young photos of them, you're like, no.
No,
This
exactly.
I'm old enough to remember Morgan Freeman when he was on the electric company.
Yeah, see, no,
And he was
old.
young.
No,
He was young then.
Okay. Let's
That's
get
right,
to
that
this
was
here.
the-
Our
Yeah,
next
let's-
coin flip is who's older?
Lon Chaney or Morgan
Don
Freeman?
Chaney or
Or
Morgan
no,
Lon Chaney.
not Lon
Lon
Chaney.
said Lon Chaney.
Jesus.
Lon Chaney or Morgan Freeman?
Lon
No, Don
Chaney or
Chaney or Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney or Bela Lugosi, who's older.
All right.
All right. Well, okay. Yeah. Let's. Okay.
let's
So,
bring this
how many
back, please.
people that we know that have a chance of being number 1 that were a player at some time? I'm going to go back to the first one you said, which was Boeheim.
Possibly.
I
But
doubt
would
he would
if
ever,
Boeheim was ever number one, I'm not sure he would have slid to 6 though, because it's not like he's been out of coaching long enough to slide
yeah, I
a
don't
few
know.
spots.
I don't know. You make the call here, man. I really
Maybe we go with Dean Smith because it would make sense that he would slide, right, with all these guys passing him.
sure. Let's do
So,
it.
all right, we'll check in with Dean Smith.
All right. And go for Big Dongo. What did you guys have?
In 1960, Ohio State won the national championship.
come on.
It's Bobby
Oh,
Knight.
geez.
That is correct. One team is receiving points, and is the team that said Bobby Knight. They're actually two teams, two coaches who won both as a player and a coach. It's Dean Smith and Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight won in 1960 with Ohio State, though he was not the star of the team. There were NBA all-time greats, Jerry Lucas and John Havlicek were on that team. And that was the year that they met Cincinnati with Oscar Robertson in back-to-back years, and I think they split games, but it was an in-state game. But anyway, yes, Bobby Knight is correct.
I don't think Dean Smith was ever number one because of Bobby Knight.
I think Dean Smith was the first one to pass Bobby Knight. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he was the first.
I think Bobby Knight's ahead of Dean Smith.
Is it possible that Dean Smith passed him when he? All right, I got it. Now I got to go back and check this. That's okay. Interesting. All right. So our themed linked answers thus far are Reggie White and Bobby Knight. Question number 3 of our missing link. The only player to play on the USA Olympics basketball team in 1988, which won bronze, in the last year that NBA players were not permitted, but then also played with the Dream Team in 1992, obviously in the first year allowing NBA players.
We'll check in.
All right. Go for Big Dongle is checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful. You have a few minutes to talk this out.
Okay. So who was on the Dream Team again? So obviously we got Mike.
Not Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Famously.
Michael, Chris Mullen, Bird.
So,
The list goes on and on. But which one of those guys would
so
have
88
played in 88?
college players. So like Danny
Leitner?
Manning.
Is it Leitner?
I mean, 88 for Leitner, he would have been.
He would have been like a freshman.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So Danny Manning,
I don't think Danny Manning was on the Dream Team.
no. Oh, David Robinson, maybe?
Oh, that would make sense.
Who else would have been there, maybe?
That would make sense because he was drafted in 87, but he went to
Mitch
the
Richmond?
academy. I don't think Mitch Richmond was on the Dream Team.
I don't think
remember
he was
him
either. Was David Robinson on the Dream Team?
I think so. He's
It
more
makes
likely to
sense
be
that
on
he
it
would
than,
have been,
Mitch
'cause I think-
Richmond.
He was drafted that.
He was drafted in 87, but he didn't start playing in the NBA until
The fall
89
of
or
88.
90. Yeah, because he went to the academy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So it would make sense that they put him on the team because he wasn't an NBA player technically, right? In 88,
True.
although he had been drafted.
I think David Robinson is probably our best bet at this point. He's the best name we've come up with.
I think that makes the most sense to me out of everything
Okay.
we've said. In a world that doesn't make sense, that makes the most sense.
In a world.
Earl Christian Campbell. Yeah, we're gonna check in with David Robinson.
If Earl Campbell ever makes a horror movie, we're so psyched because we got Matt doing the read. All right. So go for Big Dongo. What did you guys have?
Well, yeah, I was drafted in 87. Wasn't a rookie until 89. Backed up Patrick Ewing on the Dream Team. It's David Robinson.
That is correct. So both teams will be receiving points. Well done. Yeah, I mean, you guys were dancing all around it. Leitner would have been too young. He would have been a senior in high school, and he was technically, I guess, still an amateur when the Dream Team happened. But no, Peyton and who else did you mention? A bunch of those. You mentioned a bunch of guys who were sort of on the fringe but didn't make Dream Team. All right, our themed linked answers so far are Reggie White, Bobby Knight, and David Robinson. Question number 4. At the time of his retirement, he had the most hits by an opposing player in Camden Yards, in Tropicana Field, and in Rogers Center.
All right, we're checked in.
All right. Bald and Not Beautiful have checked in. Go for Big Dongle. Talk it out.
So a Yankee or a Red Sox.
Yep. Played their entire career as one of those.
Or just played a long time for one
right.
of them. So, I mean, Jeter makes sense.
Yep. He's got 3,000 hits.
Yeah.
Played his entire career in that division.
And all of it around the time that those three stadiums were active. David Ortiz is sneaky. Played a long time there. And okay, so here's the issue. It's at the time of his retirement. I wonder if someone passed them since then.
Well, Jeter retired before Ortiz.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes. Could it be anybody else besides Jeter? It probably could be. It probably is. And that's what makes it a great question.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything else.
No.
So let's just end this charade that we're going to come up with another person and go with Jeter.
Because Boggs played most of his career when they were at the Memorial Stadium. So, and
and there was no Tropicana Field
he retired at Tropicana.
Retired there,
Field.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with Derek Jeter. Check that out.
All right, and Bald and Not Beautiful. What did you guys have?
We had the same exact conversation, right? Has to be someone that played in this division. We were between the only names we brought up were Jeter, Ortiz, and Wade Boggs. Figured Boggs didn't spend enough time on the Rays and went, since '98.
Well, plus it's opposing too, as an opposing, so.
Well, yeah, but he was.
If the hits when he was in Tampa would have counted,
right? They wouldn't count. But even so, there's he played for 2-3 years tops while the Rays were around.
And his entire career was in that AL East, in those same stadiums.
So between Jeter and Ortiz, we felt like Jeter made more sense, so we checked in with Derek Jeter.
Both teams are receiving points, and you broke it down exactly the way I hoped you would, knowing that it was obviously the Orioles, the Blue Jays, and the Rays that sort of boxed it in a little bit, knowing that it had to be the Rays, so it couldn't be somebody that goes back that far. So everybody got it exactly right. And Dan, to your point about it says at the time of his retirement, I didn't know how else to state this. I could not find an updated list. I just knew at the time of his retirement, it was literally what it said. I don't know that anybody's passed him, but I did know that at the time of his retirement, it was a thing. So there you go.
He's on Twitter now.
So we should ask him. All right. Well, now that he's not part of the Marlins. Okay. The themed linked answers thus far are Reggie White, Bobby Knight, David Robinson, and Derek Jeter. Question number 5. Born Robert Remus. This longtime WWE, well, really WWF wrestler, fought in the main event at SummerSlam the same year that both Miss Elizabeth and Andre the Giant made their last SummerSlam appearance.
No, that is correct. I was just waiting to see how long it would take them. We can check in.
Yeah.
Okay, Go for Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful. What you got?
We don't really need to talk this out. I'm 99% sure I got this one. Even if I didn't know his actual name, you could reason this one out thinking about obviously Andre the Giant. His last SummerSlam. You can pretty much pinpoint that, right? That's got to be, around 90, 91. And this guy happened to be in the main event of WrestleMania 7 as well. So
for some reason, it
would stand to reason that he'd also be in the main event of SummerSlam because that's just the way they did it back then. This is Sergeant Slaughter. So that's what we checked in with.
And I was going to say, most people could not reason this out, but Scott or Dan could reason this out, certainly. All right. Dan, what did you guys have?
I actually knew his name. I was just waiting
to
see if I could come up with what I could come up with before I checked in.
Before you checked in.
Yeah. But it's Sergeant Slaughter.
All right. Well done. So both teams are receiving points for our 5th answer. And both teams, after the 5th question was read, got in their themes. Dan, since you messaged first, I will let you share what you guys came up with.
Well, I said military ranks, but it's the Minister of Defense. It's the Knight, Or actually, there's something else with Bobby Knight. I'm sure there is.
The general.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And then the admiral, the captain, and the sergeant. So
that is correct. Yeah, I took a few liberties with the Minister of Defense, but anything in the ballpark of military themed nicknames or military ranks, even I had to look up to see whether Minister of Defense counted as a rank. But given that he oversees all of the armed forces, I thought that would count. So yeah, so it was the Minister of Defense, the general, the admiral, the captain, and sergeant. Well done to both teams. 50 points for getting it at the fifth question. So after the second quarter, we have a score of Gopher Big Dongle with 225 points and Bald and Not Beautiful with 190 points. Still a close game as we head into halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points.
This halftime is dedicated to songs that are traditionally played at certain ballparks, arenas, or stadiums. Okay? So, hopefully start easy. Question number 1. What 1983 Randy Newman song is played at Dodger Stadium following Dodgers wins?
I could check in.
All right. Right out of the gate, Gopher Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful. Talk it out.
We always leave before the end of the game because the Dodgers are usually winning big, and the LA traffic.
And it's LA, so you usually get there after it starts.
Yeah, you get there at the second inning, you leave in the 6th, so you can get home on time.
Well, I mean, the only Randy Newman
how many
song
Randy
that
Newman
I
songs
even can think of is "I Love LA." So that's
that
like
one,
a Dodgers thing, right?
Is that Randy Newman?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought he's "You've Got a Friend in Me," right, from Toy Story.
Got a friend in me.
Yeah, that's my age. Yeah, we're gonna check in with "I Love LA."
And go for a Big Dongle.
We
Hugh.
love it. Yeah, I love LA.
It is I Love LA. That's points all the way around. Good job to both teams. And I think it started fairly recently, actually. I read something that they were doing some marketing thing maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it's become now a tradition after wins. So there you go. Okay. Question number 2. What 1945 song from the musical Carousel is sung by fans of Liverpool and is also used as a slogan for the team and fans?
We can check in.
Go for Big Dongle has checked in again immediately. So Bald and Not Beautiful. I mean, sorry, Bald and Not Beautiful. You guys want to talk it out?
Yeah, we're very bold, so please don't take that away from us.
Oh, they're not mutually exclusive, Scott. So
1945. So the only person
Carousel. Do you know any songs from the show Carousel?
I heard of the show Carousel 35 seconds ago when David asked the question. Didn't know it was 1945. The only person alive was David, who he was in the front row opening night. Wasn't there a world war going on? Why are we doing musicals? Well, actually, it just ended, I guess.
So the Liverpool guys took over our bar here in Omaha we were watching our
That sounds
games,
unfortunate.
and they took over the German bar now has Liverpool people, so it's kind of funny.
Like a British invasion?
Yeah.
It does sound like that.
Out of Liverpool?
Did they all have bowl cuts?
So I remember them singing, but I don't remember what the song is.
Okay.
Because they would be there. There was a time period where we were there together watching Bayern and them watching them, but Liverpool.
Yeah, I have no idea. This is pre-Beatles.
Yeah.
So it's not even like, oh, it's a Beatles song because it's Liverpool. Nope, it's not because this is pre-Beatles.
Oh wait, it's oh come on.
I mean, come on, Eileen. That's about 40 years after.
No, Walk Alone. You'll never walk alone.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds like Batista's theme song.
I think that's what it is.
I Walk Alone. Hey, if you just pulled that out of somewhere, we got to go with it.
That's the right. Yeah, let's go with that.
Just to clarify, you're checking in with?
You'll Never Walk Alone.
All right. And Bald and Not Beautiful. Oh, no, that's not you. Go for Big Dongle. What did you guys have?
I see it all over my friends. I have a bunch of Liverpool fan friends who have been putting up YNWA everywhere. It's You'll Never Walk Alone. I Walk Alone. That's Green Day. It's Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Actually.
Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Yeah.
Yes. I was amazed when I just heard about this recently and was watching YouTube videos on this as well. I mean, it's actually pretty chilling. They play this old recording of You'll Never Walk Alone. I have no idea why they've chosen such an old song, but the entire, whatever they call the Liverpool fans, they all hold up their banners and they sing. And it's actually pretty amazing when you see it. And at the end of games, the players are sort of standing on the field and they're singing along. It's pretty cool. And yes, they do use just the initials. That's a big hashtag YWNA or whatever it is. Wait, YNW. Yes, exactly.
And NWA.
So, NWA, exactly.
they play NWA after their games.
Exactly. All right. Well done to both teams. Okay, last one. Question 3 of halftime. Know your host. Well, or perhaps your guest. What ironically chosen song is played following Utah Jazz home wins? I would have expected this at your host's wedding or maybe his bar mitzvah, not at Utah Jazz games.
That has to be it, right? But let's check it in.
Yeah.
Sorry, was that a check-in?
Yeah.
All right, go for Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful, talk it out.
The only traditional Jewish song that I know, except for I know the dreidel song from.
Yes, I made it out of clay.
Yes. Other than that, the only other one I know is it Hava Nagila? Hava.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it has to be. I think it has to be, and I think David should perform it for us if we get it right.
So too, David has to sing the song. All right, we're gonna go ahead and check in with what I hope I'm not butchering by saying Hava Nagila.
Pretty good, actually, Matt. You're all right. All right, and we'll put Hugh on the spot. What did you guys check in with?
There's lots of songs they could play.
It would be ironic, yeah.
But the only one that people really would know would be Hava Nagila. Except for during Hanukkah, they might play the dreidel song. Who knows?
For the 14 Jewish people that live in Salt Lake City.
That's exactly right.
Well, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr was one of them at one time.
All I could think of is the crossover when Scott said, "Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel, I made it out of Cassius clay." That's what I was. But yes, the correct answer is Hava Nagila. And somebody sent me an article about this. It came from, I don't even remember, but they were talking about how incredibly silly it was. I mean, it would be silly enough if it were in New Orleans, but the fact that the Utah Jazz for the last X number of years when they win are playing Hava Nagila, and yes, I mean, we know the demographics of Utah. It's not exactly a Jewish hotbed. So there you go. Well done to both teams.
And the Jazz moved to Utah, where music is not allowed.
Coming out of halftime, we have scores of Bald and Not Beautiful with 265 and Go for Big Dongle just a little bit ahead at 300.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
So that brings us to the third quarter, which will today be 5-on-3.
Five on 3. For this quarter, there will be 3 categorized lists containing 5 items, where each item is worth 10 points. The teams will attempt to guess as many items as they can. However, if a team has an incorrect guess, they will receive 0 points for that list.
All right. Before we start, Hugh, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you before we started. How's your NBA? That's going to get. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now. I have an NBA question, and I want to know whether you want the hard NBA question or the easy NBA question. I'll let you be strategic about this.
It it's not the best in the world,
All right,
So
we'll go the easy. We'll go the easy.
That would be CM Punk.
I know the Utah Jazz play Hava Nagila after they win.
You're not wrong. Okay. List number 1 of 5-on-3. The last year that the NBA first team had 5 players that each played at least 2 years in college was 2000-2001. Name the 5 players on that all NBA team.
All right. Hugh, I'm going to make a executive decision and check in. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, can you make an executive decision and check in?
Sure.
Wait, was that 2 check-ins just like that?
Well, you go ahead and do the check-in for them.
All right,
and then we'll...
go for Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful. You have very little time to talk it out.
Okay, so the ones that we are pretty confident on are Allen Iverson and Shaquille O'Neal. Then the ones we're debating are Duncan, Chris Webber, and then I think we are probably not going to go with Grant Hill, Reggie Miller, or Jason Kidd. So I think we're going to go with just the 3, and we'll go with AI, Shaq, Duncan. Do you want to do Weber?
You're making an executive decision.
All right, we're going to go with Weber. So we're going to do those 4.
And go for Big Dongle. What did you guys have?
Both of us had Shaq right away, which put Duncan at the 4, Iverson at the 2. We had them. So we had a 1 and a 3 left. And I said, there's got to be a point guard here. I mean, I suppose there could be 2 2s, but there's got to be a point guard. And I thought it has to be Jason Kidd. So we checked in with Duncan, Shaq, Iverson, and Kidd.
Duncan, Shaq, Iverson, and Kidd. Both teams are going to be receiving points. So
Wow.
between the 2 teams, you got all 5. And I've studied the NBA first teams a fair amount. They screw around with the positions a little bit. I mean, I think they ultimately try to get the 5 best players, but in the end, this time it was Duncan, Weber, Shaq, AI, and Kidd. So great job to both teams. Bald and Not Beautiful, you guys actually, you were kicking around all the right names. I think you just couldn't decide between Kidd and Hill or somebody at the end.
Reggie Miller had a really good year
and Reggie
that
Miller.
year.
Yeah,
Reggie Miller.
it was 1 year
Scott
too
was
late
saying.
for Grant Hill.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't end up going with Weber was 1, we didn't
Because of
think him.
Duncan.
And no, actually 2, we had Vince Carter on the mind, but wasn't sure where to go with that one.
That would have been a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Yeah, we took that. I mean, I would just listen to the podcast that dropped today, and Scott asked that question for the odd man out, and it was 2002 covers, so that would have covered the 2000-2001
Right.
All NBA.
That's true. It's a good point. Well done. All right. List number 2 for 5-on-3. There are 5 pitchers in Major League history with at least 250 wins, at least 3,000 strikeouts, and at least a 600 winning percentage. Hint, all of them retired in the last 40 years. Just to frame it up for you. We're not going back to Walter Johnson, Cy Young. Okay.
This is the epitome
Let me see
of a
that
David
one,
Lux question. This is
I got this one straight out of a book.
100% David Lux.
Is it the baseball
right here.
book?
Got Walling's book out of
This
Yeah,
is-
you're saying this came
David,
from Walling's book?
would you like me to give you a description of a David Lux question?
I love these questions.
It is giving a scenario of a specific type of player and then giving a whole bunch of statistics around that player that player uniquely fits. And then you're supposed to come up with this,
or in this case, 5 of them.
You gave us.
You don't have. Yeah.
Luckily, you gave us it was within the last 40 years they retired.
I think it would have been
Sometimes my
impossible
favorite is
without
when
that.
you're like,
Yes.
here's a stat line of a person that played a sport sometime within the last 200 years. Who is this person?
I never do
You're like,
that.
oh, come
Go
on.
back and listen.
200 years.
I never do that. Go back and listen. I never do that. I don't leave you hanging.
Excuse me, host. I need my teammate to focus. Can you please stop distracting him?
Dude, he was distracting himself. This was self-distraction.
All right, we're checked in.
All right. Bald and Not Beautiful have checked in Go for Big Dongo. Let's have about 30 seconds. You guys talking this out.
This one almost broke me, David.
Yeah.
I swear these questions where
Wait.
I can't just zoom in on a time exactly.
Right.
And have the multiple different
Yeah.
things to them. I just they break my brain.
Mm-hmm.
We eventually settled on Seaver, Maddox, and Clemens and stopped there.
So is that your check-in?
That's our check-in.
All right. Always love the taunting, but love the check-in too. All right, Bald and Not Beautiful. What did you guys have?
Yeah, so we were very similar. We threw some names out there or some guys we didn't quite feel comfortable enough with the criteria, like a Tom Glavine, a couple other guys that we thought. Nolan Ryan scared us on the winning percentage. Couple other guys.
Jim
right?
Palmer on the winning percentage, and I'm not sure if he got to 3,000 Ks.
Right. Even Seaver kind of scared us a little bit. And then we thought maybe Pedro Martinez, but there were some concerns we had there also with the winning percentage because some of those Expos teams and late in his career with the Mets and the Phillies. So ultimately we went with 3. We checked in with Roger Clemens, Greg Maddux, and the big unit, Randy Johnson.
Both teams are getting points. Well done.
Well, so who's that
Really?
fifth name?
Super impressive. Yes, right. The fifth name is the surprise one, and the reason why this list ran across something that I was researching. So the correct answers are Greg Maddux, Roger Clemens, Tom Seaver, Randy Johnson, and amazingly, in all of the discussions, I did not hear. Now, I don't know what you guys were talking about privately, but I didn't hear this name come up. And this is a pitcher who pitched entirely in this century. So he is the most recent of all of them. The last one is CC Sabathia.
Oh, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Surprising, yeah. So
Well, he always put. I'm sorry. He
That was-
always shot good teams.
I was going to
Yeah.
say it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I didn't know he
couldn't-
got to 250 wins.
I think he just got over it, didn't he?
he
Yeah.
didn't make it by much. That's correct.
Yeah,
he didn't
yeah.
he didn't get to 300. I'm sure of that.
Right. Well, that's not a thing anymore.
Well, not for the Hall of Fame, it's not. Or
Well,
you're
it's just
saying
in general, it's
nobody
probably
gets it.
It's there aren't even starting pitchers that much anymore. So
No, that's also true.
How
That's
long
absolutely
until
true.
wins don't become a pitcher's, just like wins in football are not a quarterback stat?
I mean, after this era, right, where we're getting like, Verlander and Scherzer and those guys, obviously, who will rack up a lot of wins. But we're in that era now where you start a reliever for 2 innings.
Yeah.
He comes
Yeah.
out and it's
20 win thing is getting
Yeah.
I think within our lifetime, wins will no longer be a pitcher's stat, in my opinion.
I can't remember how long ago it was, but there was a time when I think it was Tony La Russa went out. This must have been with the A's, where he basically said, all right, I'm just going to pitch 3 guys for 3 innings each, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And of course,
Yeah.
it flies in the face of everything because the guys can't get wins, period, because you have to pitch 5
Yeah,
innings to get
yeah.
wins. So sorry, go ahead.
What were we
Hugh.
going to say, Hugh?
You want to be that second number one. You want to be the second pitcher in that one. And number 2, I mean, there's teams now using 6-man rotations.
yeah.
Twins are using a
Six-man rotation. The Rays don't have starters. They start a guy for 2 innings. It's ridiculous. It's untraditional, and I don't like it. It's not what I grew up with.
Thanks,
why
Jim
I
Cott.
hate Moneyball.
Yes, exactly. Oh, well, the second time around the lineup, they struggle, so there is going to be no second time around the lineup.
Okay, list number 3. If you thought that one was a Lux question, here we go.
Oh, jeez.
The 5 NFL teams whose franchise career passing leaders have less than 25,000 yards for the franchise.
Come on.
Oh,
What?
dude,
Actually,
totally.
I think we can. Get
I'm
that.
pretty sure that Scott's got this. Chill out.
All right.
Okay.
Less than 25,000.
Matt, you can file this one as it's not as bad as it sounds. Okay. I promise. I mean, it may make your head hurt for a little while, but
We'll check in.
all right. Go for Big Dongle has checked in. A Bald and Not Beautiful. I'll give you about a minute.
Okay, so the teams that we have discussed
what I
ad nauseum, it feels like for the last 7.5 hours, are Carolina.
Mhm.
Delhomme is the only one that we think even gets close, and
I just don't
that
think
would
he
have
was
been
there long enough.
2,500 yards for 10 years. He wasn't even there for maybe 6.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Texans, Carr was
I
there
don't think
for
Carr would have got. He was getting sacked too
4 or
much.
5 years, right?
And then it's just been.
He would have had to have averaged.
I don't. Texans. I feel good about.
Yeah. No.
Did we talk about the Cardinals?
Cardinals? I can't think of
I
anybody.
think Palmer's the closest, just based on the new NFL, and I don't think he was there long enough.
I agree. And then the other one we came up with,
I brought up Tampa.
I mean, Vinny Testaverde, but Testaverde was not there for 10 years. He was there for maybe 5 or 6 years.
If he's there 5 years, he's got to get 5,000, which wasn't happening back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't happening back then.
Okay.
So if he was
then
there
the
for
other
6
teams
years,
that we came up with, Baltimore.
Flacco. That's
Flacco
close.
there for 10 years?
2008 to around 2016, 2017. So yeah.
He could have gotten 2,500 yards.
He could have
a season.
He could have.
So that scares me. Let's not do.
Yeah,
Baltimore.
he could have.
Cleveland.
And then I think Kosar is
Ernie Kosar. Okay,
there.
I agree. That's fine. I'm going with that. And then what was the other one? We brought up a couple other ones.
I think Jacksonville, but we said, oh no, the Bears.
The Bears. Oh man, I have no idea.
I think we put the Bears on our list.
You think you want to put them on the list?
I can't think of a
you
single
go for
guy.
5? Let's do it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and check in, David, with, you ready? Carolina, the Texans, the Cardinals, Tampa, and the Bears.
All right. And go for Big Dongle. What did you guys have?
Hugh, we've got way different names. This is gonna
we have one that's the same. Or two that are the same.
We said the Bears. I think it's Cutler, and I don't think he's got 25,000.
I would agree.
We said the Texans. I think that's actually Matt Schaub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We said Jacksonville because I don't think Brunell quite got that high. And we also said, no, this is a sneaky one, but I think Jim, don't call me Chris Everett, is the career leader for the Rams. And I don't think he got to 25,000. So we went with the Rams.
Wow. That's a good one.
So Rams, Jaguars, and Texans?
And Bears. Oh my.
Did we just become new best friends?
Yep.
Neither team will be receiving points.
You know what? I'd rather have that.
I would too, because I would have felt really bad. So let me give you the 5 answers. The saddest thing about this is that Dan, your the Go for Big Dongle was actually remarkably close, but the 5 are from the bottom up. The career leader for the Bucks is Jameis Winston with just under 20,000 yards.
Yep. So at least we got that one, Matt.
Just up from that is the Texans with Matt Schaub, right around 23,000 yards. Just up from that, we have the Bears, would be the third worst. Jay Cutler with 23,400, as many people mentioned. Next would be the Browns with Brian Sipe, 23,700. That one's one of the old school ones. And one up from that is the Rams, Jim Everett, 23,758 yards. Mark Brunell checked in. His passing total for the Jaguars was about 25,700.
So Carson Palmer got there for the Cardinals?
He was uber close. No, the career for the Cardinals
is Jim Berg.
That's Jim Hart. That's Jim Hart.
Jim Hart?
Is that
the St. Louis days?
Is that Brett's uncle? Who the hell's that?
Right, Jim the Anvil Knight Hart.
Jim Hitman Hart instead of Brett the Hitman.
Who's Carolina's leader?
It's Cam.
It's Cam. He's almost at 30,000 for the Panthers.
Oh man,
yeah.
Jim Hart was from the Air Coryell days in the early 70s, mid 70s.
That makes sense. Well, I'm at least thankful that question played a lot harder and a lot longer than I thought it might. But
it's fun.
Sometimes it's hard to gauge, and I'm glad in a way that it came out at least even Steven. So at the end of the third quarter, we have scores of Bald and Not Beautiful with 335 points, and Go for Big Dongle with 370 points. Still a modest lead, and still anyone's game.
Support for today's Benchwarmers Trivia podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. All of us here at Benchwarmers received the Performance Package as a part of our Manscaped sponsorship, and I can speak with authority that it is filled with all sorts of goodies. I highly recommend you give it a try. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you use the code BENCH at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 8 million balls. So don't forget, use the promo code BENCH, BENCH, at checkout, manscaped.com.
As we go to the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
All right. The categories for today are as follows. Question number 1, angry young man, pertaining to MLB pitching performances. Question number 2, New York state of mind, pertaining to NBA All-Stars. Question number 3, the longest time, pertaining to NFL Hall of Famers. And question number 4, big shot, pertaining to MLB awards. It's now time for the teams to place their wagers. Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1, who is the only pitcher in the last 50 years who has struck out a number of batters in a game equal to his age?
Yeah, we'll check in.
All right, Go for Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful. You have about a minute and a half.
All right. Yeah. So immediately I thought this has to be Kerry Wood in 1998. Like, that makes sense to me. I know he was really young. 20 years old makes a lot of sense, right? Clemens did it. He was also young when he did it. But Clemens seems too obvious of an answer. He was already included in an answer earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a specific reason he says last 50 years, because, does this go back to the 70s? Is that why that's, specifically in there? Yeah. And then
so
also, angry young man.
The angry young man is the one that really throws me off. I'm like, why?
Right. Was there a pitcher named like Jonathan Mad?
Well, I mean, Greg Maddux, but
No.
Right. Other mad pitchers, John Rocker.
No, definitely not. I think he might have hit 20 guys
on purpose.
Pedro and Zimmer probably thinks he's an angry young man.
Yeah, I just don't. Maybe that's
I don't think Zimmer's thinking anything right now, by the way.
But I think Kerry Wood, he was a little abrasive too, if I remember.
Well, Clemens was kind of a hothead too.
Yeah.
Kerry Wood seems like the first one that popped into your brain. So you want to just go with that one?
Yeah. Let's just do it. We're going to check in with Kerry Wood for 80 points.
Okay. And Go for Big Dongo. What did you guys have?
Right. So Hugh got there, but I just want to tell you who I thought it was going to be before I realized the 50 years thing. And I don't know if this is right or not, but I thought it might be Bob Feller, because he started way young at like 17. And it probably would have been possible for him to have gotten 17 strikeouts at that point. But Hugh, you can go ahead and say what we did.
Yeah, he has to be really young and had to strike out 20 guys. And Clemens was already over 20 when he came into the big leagues. Yeah. So the only one that I know that was 20 years old in the big leagues that struck out 20 was Kerry Wood. So we went with Kerry Wood for 85.
And both teams are receiving points. Yeah. So the logic to get you there was exactly what you guys got to. I mean, it's virtually impossible to match your age in strikeouts for a major league pitcher, because especially in the last 50 years, they don't make their debuts until they're at least 20. So Kerry Wood actually was 20 when he made his major league debut. And in his 5th start was when he had that 20 strikeout game. Clemens would have been eliminated because he was at University of Texas until he was,
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember how many years, maybe 3 years anyway. So he was probably 23 or something. And obviously the record's only 20. There are only two guys in Major League history who have matched their age in strikeouts. One of them was Kerry Wood in whatever it was, 1998. And the other one is Bob Feller. So good job to Dan, because Bob Feller did come up, I think, when he was 16 and change. And when he was 17, he did have a 17 strikeout game. I had originally written this as a David and Goliath question, and Kerry Wood was my David answer. And it was sort of weird the way I was writing it, because it was David was the Kerry Wood, and then the Goliath was, okay, what Hall of Fame pitcher is the only other guy to do this? And when you're writing the Hall of Fame pitcher is the Goliath answer, and the other guy's not a Hall of Fame answer.
Yeah.
It just seems backwards. But anyway, question number 2 in New York State of Mind. Since Patrick Ewing, the Knicks have only drafted one player that has played in the All-Star game as a Knick. I want you to name him. Now, just because I'm in a giving mood, I will tell you that Porzingis was drafted by the Knicks, was named an All-Star, but I'll just remind you, he blew out his ACL right before the All-Star game,
And
so
he
he did
didn't
not play. So that may or may not have been obvious, but I didn't want that to be a distractor answer. So there's only been one All-Star since Patrick Ewing that was drafted as a Knick and played in the All-Star game as a Knick. Name him.
Yeah, let's check that in. I'm going to check that in.
Yeah.
Carver Big Dongle has checked in. Bald and Not Beautiful, please talk it out.
Man.
There haven't been many Knicks in the All-Star game in the last 20 years in general, let alone guys that they've drafted. Right? I mean, Allen Houston certainly wasn't drafted by them. He played for Detroit before he got to the Knicks. Melo, obviously. Even if Marbury made it as a Knick, we know he obviously wasn't drafted by them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that there's anyone else this millennium.
Amari Stoudemire wasn't drafted by the Knicks, was he?
No, he was not.
Um,
So to me, this goes back. So I this is between, Ewing's 85. So I think if this is the 15-year time period between 85 and 2000, the only name that I can think of is Anthony Mason in 94. I don't know who drafted him. I don't remember anything about him prior to being a Knick.
I don't know. Okay. Well, let's go with
Mason?
let's go with yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go Anthony Mason for 85 points.
Yep.
Checking it in.
All right. And go for Big Dongo. What did you guys have?
Okay, so for a while before the Timberwolves existed, I was a pretty big Knicks fan from my days of liking Georgetown. So that's how I became a Knicks fan. So I've always followed them a little bit, and it was very hard to follow them lately. And they crept up there in the early 2000s, thanks in part to someone who played out of his mind. And I believe the answer, I could be wrong, but I believe the answer to this is going to be David Lee.
Oh, geez. Never heard that name.
For 45 points.
One team is receiving points, and that is the team that pulled David Lee out of their hat. That is correct. Well done. He was drafted in 2005.
We forgot he
played in the All-Star game for the Knicks in 2010 and was gone soon after that. Well done. Good poll for sure. Well done, Dan.
Rod Strickland was drafted by the Knicks, but not an All-Star.
Didn't make an All-Star with them.
That's correct. Didn't make an All-Star with them. Okay. Question number 3, the longest time. Brace yourself. This one's a little bit long.
Oh my gosh.
Scott, I hope you like it. There's only one NFL team that has been around for at least 50 years, and in that time has not drafted a single player who has gone on to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh my God.
I want you to name the team and the player they drafted in 1971. That was the last player they drafted who went on to the Hall of Fame. Here's a hint, because I think this one's kind of difficult. The player was a Super Bowl MVP, but not for the team that drafted him.
We'll check in.
All right. let's see. Go for Big Dongle. You think I'd know by now. Go for Big Dongle has checked in somewhat snarkily, maybe. And Bald and Not Beautiful. It's time to talk it out.
All right. Well, we tossed
I like the
around-
road you're going down.
Well, the name. So we want to circuitous route, but when we were talking about Super Bowl MVPs, I was trying to think of ones that I could obviously, because I don't know all the whole list from like 1971 to whenever the mid 80s.
Yeah.
But I do remember one for Washington in the 80s, John Riggins winning it. And I thought I remember hearing that he got drafted not by Washington, but by the Jets. And so then that led us down a path of, can we think of any Hall of Famers for the Jets since Joe Namath?
Not Mark Gastineau, right?
Yeah. And then, I mean, like all the other Hall of Famers who played for them didn't play like the majority of their career.
Right.
Like Jason Taylor played there for a while, right?
He did.
Yeah, didn't he? I thought he did.
He played for Miami for almost his entire
for like
career.
a million years, yeah. Ed Reed played there for a while, but I mean, that wasn't the majority of his career.
I think
obviously.
your definition of for a while is a little off, but yeah, he played there. Well, because I mean, they've had like some really good long offensive linemen, right? That played there a while. Kevin Mawai, Ferguson, Nick Mangold, but none of those
Yeah,
guys
but none
are
of
Hall
those
of
guys in the Hall of
Famers.
Fame yet. I
Yeah.
mean, some of those guys might get in the Hall of Fame years down the road, but not now.
Right? Alan Faneca was there in your term for a long time, but he's a Steeler.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think enough of it adds up.
Okay. We're going to
Here we
go
can
ahead
go
and
for it.
check in for 85 points with the New York Jets and John Riggins.
All right. Go for Big Dongle. What did you guys have?
So here's the deal, Hugh. I actually thought of Riggins,
Yeah.
but I read the question wrong.
Oh,
I read it as they haven't had a draft they didn't draft a Hall of Famer, and I knew that Namath threw that out the window, so I couldn't justify that one.
Oh, you meant they thought they never drafted him.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I completely read the question wrong, so I'm pretty sure that is the right answer because what we came up with, I just thought of someone obviously that didn't make the Hall of Fame that they drafted, so it's
yeah.
we go ahead and say what you said, and I agreed with you, but
Yeah. We said the Patriots and Jim Plunkett.
I mean, Richard Seymour was just
Yeah. I forgot
elected to
that.
the Hall of Fame, so I mean,
Yep.
and they drafted him, so
Well,
Yeah.
and Ty Law and
yeah,
Curtis
Ty Law,
Martin.
yeah, exactly.
Curtis
Yeah.
Martin. That's right.
I was so turned around by the question, David, that I
Turn around.
didn't take it all
every
yeah,
time.
so-
David
for 85
I
points, by the way.
turn.
I didn't think Riggins was drafted that early. I was thinking he was more the mid 70s. That's where I got screwed up.
We don't
with
know
it.
that's correct yet, but I think it is. So,
Yeah.
So I will now break the suspense and tell you that one team is getting their points, and that is the team that said the New York Jets and John Riggins. Riggins was drafted in 71, played with the Jets until about the mid 70s when he signed with the Redskins. Matt had the rest right after that Riggins was later the MVP of the Super Bowl for the Redskins. The Commanders. And he was
for them, but
right. It was for the Redskins, right? Historically. And so the Jets have not drafted. I mean, obviously this can change with any election, but the Jets have not drafted a Hall of Famer since John Riggins. Other teams that have not drafted a Hall of Famer, I mean, the Panthers haven't, the Texans haven't, but they haven't been around for 50 years. That's why I had to put that caveat in. Every other team has drafted at least one Hall of Famer since that point.
just wait,
So-
Sam Darnold will get there.
Just a matter of time. So after that question, we have an interesting score update. The Bald and the Not Beautiful are at 415 points, and Go for Big Dongle is also at exactly 415
geez.
points. So we'll all come down to this question. Question number 4. The Silver Slugger has been awarded in both the American and National League since 1980. In that time, or since that time, 2 players have won a Silver Slugger, an MVP, a Gold Glove, and a World Series, all in the same year. Now, to be clear, I don't mean a World Series MVP. Their team won the World Series. So they won a Silver Slugger, an MVP, a Gold Glove, and a World Series in the same season. One of these happened in the first 5 years of the Silver Slugger, and the other happened in the last 5 years. I want you to name both players.
We'll check in.
All right, Go for Big Dongle has checked in. So for the last time this evening, Bald and Not Beautiful, yours to talk out.
All right.
Okay,
Right.
so
We actually have some choices here. Schmidt, Ripken, Brett.
yeah.
I think it could honestly be any of them.
Then you did the
And in the last 5
MVPs.
years, right? It's not right. I did the MVP. Schmidt certainly won an MVP.
and George Brett won an MVP, didn't he?
Right. And I think Ripken did too. So the last 5 years, it's not the Nationals. They didn't have an MVP. Is this Cody Bellinger for the Dodgers? It's either him or Altuve, I would think.
Altuve does sound right. Altuve has won a bunch of batting titles.
Right. He's won an MVP. And Silver Slugger for second base is easy to get because there aren't, the
Yeah.
competition is less. So I would say it's either him or Bellinger. I would lean towards Altuve.
Okay, so let's go with Altuve, and then you want to go with Brett. There's a part of me that wonders if Mike Schmidt would have won. I'm not even. I mean, I know he was.
I don't know if he was a great
solid third
defensive-
baseman, but I don't know if he was a Gold Glove third baseman.
I'm honestly, of the three, I actually think the most likely is Ripken, right? Because Brett was a good fielder, right? But I don't know that he was necessarily
I
a
don't know.
terrific third baseman, right?
So Altuve.
I'm wondering if this is Ripken in '83. Did he win the MVP that early in his career?
You
I
wanna
think
do
I
it?
like Ripken.
Altuve and Ripken for 85 points. We're gonna check it in.
Okay, and Go for Big Dongle. What did you guys have?
Okay. So what did you guys say?
Altuve and
They
Ripken.
said They said Ripken
I'm
and
going to tell
Altuve.
you right now that we said two completely different people than you did.
Nice.
And I'm going to tell you that we bet 86 on this.
Nice.
So, I mean, it would have been more dramatic if we had said the same thing, but
Or if we had bet the same thing and both got it right or both got it wrong.
right. So Mike Schmidt had a historic season in 1980. Like an all-time great season. So I was pretty sure Mike Schmidt was going to be one of these answers. And then we went back to 2018 and thought it might be Mookie Betts.
That does also make sense.
So we said Mookie Betts and Mike Schmidt for 86.
One team is receiving points. Let me just unpack this a little bit. First of all, if you go back and read the question, it couldn't have been Altuve and Ripken because I specifically said one was in the AL and one was in the NL. And though I guess officially the Astros would have been the NL back in 1980, both of your guys would have been AL guys. So Ripken did win the MVP in 83. He was a pretty good shortstop, but he was not considered the best of his time. I mean, that he didn't win Gold Gloves, I think, until the 90s when people sort of realized that slow and steady could win the race. I don't think he was ever credited with having a lot of range. Guys like Alan Trammell used to win the Gold Glove in his age. Schmidt won the Gold Glove for like 10 straight years. So yes, so Schmidt is correct for 1980 and Mookie Betts is correct for 2018. So well done. I think your answers were very good ones though. And I saw this stat about Mookie Betts. And then I went back to realize that he was one of only two people that did this. The other thing that's amazing about Schmidt is his year was so epic. He actually did win the World Series MVP that year. So he won all of these things. His team won the World Series and he won the World Series MVP. Mookie Betts did not. The 2018 Red Sox World Series MVP was Steve Pence, I think. So somebody that sort of came out of nowhere. It wasn't Mookie. Pierce. That's what I meant. God.
It wasn't Hunter Pence.
The same way I started this game.
Wasn't Mike Pence
Right.
either. That would have
Six
been
points none the richer.
Okay, so the game has come to an end, and here are the final scores. Bald and the Not Beautiful finishes with 330 points, and our clipboard captains of the game, who are receiving the coveted Tony Dungy Award with 501 points, is Go for Big Dongle. So I think the Tony Dungy Award requires a little bit of explanation because
yes, it does, since he was
Yes, it does.
back.
So
Go ahead.
here's the amazing thing, and I got this from Eric Eid. I slacked him in the middle of the day and I messaged him in the middle of the day and I said, hey, you have a good backup quarterback for me. He asked who was on the show. And I said, Hugh is. And he said, perfect. Here's a good University of Minnesota guy, Tony Dungy. And I said, but he's not a quarterback. And then Eric Eid, being Eric Eid, just reminded me that Tony Dungy was once used when he was playing for the Steelers, was once used as the emergency quarterback. And not only that, but he's an amazing trivia answer, which I almost worked into the fourth quarter, but I couldn't figure out a good way to do it. And I thought it would be too damn hard. Tony Dungy is the only person who has picked off a pass and thrown an interception in the same game in NFL history.
Wow.
When would it being entirely too hard have stopped you in the past?
And I would have gotten that because I remember that when he did that, he threw in and made an interception the same game.
Exactly. And it was because, I mean, he must have been either third or, if it was emergency quarterback, it must have been because the top 3 guys got hurt, maybe top 2 guys if they were only carrying 2 at that point. I can't remember what the rosters were like exactly back then. But in any case, there you go. Anything anybody wants to talk about before we call it a night? Hugh, you want to go first?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And as always, I'll talk a little bit about organ donation. My sister has a new to her kidney, and it's very important. I mean, to sign your donor card and let people know that you are a donor, and because it saves lives.
It's awesome. Great message for sure.
Hugh, thanks for playing with me tonight. We made a good team tonight. We both came up with some tough answers there. So you've got an unbeaten streak going too, don't you?
Right. I'm 3-0 now.
Yeah,
we got to tell Eric. Yep.
That's
all you get on the show for being
on to come after you.
Jake Manny.
That's right.
I have a terrific idea here. I think we should do a battle royale of all of the undefeated players that we have, and the winner gets Eid. I think
when somebody gets to 5-0, and if somebody gets to 5-0 instead of a smoking jacket, we should just send them a bullseye shirt with like Eric, with doing target practice. So anyway, Hugh, I think at 3-0, you've probably made Eid's list. Not that I should condone such call outs, but
I think one of the wins was with Eid though. So
he doesn't care.
It doesn't matter. No. That's like the wrestling tag team, right? Once they break up, it doesn't it's like that history never happened.
Okay.
Yep.
So never happened. All right, Matt, you want to go next?
No, thanks, Hugh, for being on. We enjoy our banter regarding AFL stuff. I think St. Kilda's your team, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They're not doing terrible. They're in the middle of the ladder this year, right?
Yeah,
they were up there, but
yeah. But they had that one game where they lost 39-38.
Oof.
And fourth quarter, they had 1 goal and 13 behinds.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's Timberwolf like shooting,
Yeah,
you're probably the first person ever to compare an AFL team to the Minnesota Timberwolves. that might be a first.
Thank you, David. I do enjoy your games and your questions because they're always interesting and thought-provoking. And this was another fun one. Thank you for Sergeant Slaughter. You made up for no wrestling questions on the last one that you hosted. So always appreciate that.
That's true.
Yeah, this was another fun game. Hugh, great to officially meet you. Once you hit 3 times, you're kind of like one of us. You're basically in the brotherhood at this point. So we appreciate you and your support and the fact that you listen to every episode and that you help us out financially and everything else that you do for us. So I am an organ donor. I echo what Hugh said. I encourage everyone out there, to do that. Unless obviously there are extenuating circumstances for you not to, but it really is one of those important things that you don't think about on an everyday basis. But like Hugh says, it saves lives. It's important. And it's something that is very easy to do. You just, fill out a form. You don't have to go through a rigorous process or anything like that. So definitely echo that. Become an organ donor. Speaking of organs, take care of yourselves. Manscaped. Use the promo code BENCH, 20% off at manscaped.com. Make sure you do that.
Your dongle will thank you.
Your dongle will thank you. We're also on TeePublic.
Avoid onion crotch.
We're on TeePublic. We're on YouTube. Follow us on the bench. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us everywhere else. And guys, if you're listening, come on the show. All right. Listen, we want a schedule. We want new people. We want old people to come back. Come back on the show. If you want a team with Eid, fine, we'll make it happen. Team with Eid. Just sign up. Come back on the show.
David's, but just as strong.
Or
as
Dan,
Eid
whoever
is,
you want.
Dan.
Just email us. Come back on the show. Let us know. We want to have you back on. There's some people we haven't heard from in a while that I've been reaching out to. I really want to get people back on the show that we haven't heard from in a while because we missed you guys and we want to hang out with you. So that's my pitch.
Absolutely. That's a lot of good stuff, Scott. Yeah, Hugh, I want to second what everybody was saying. It was great to meet you in person. I'm glad I could work in the Havanagila question because I figured you'd appreciate it. But thank you for humoring me. I know Dan doesn't like my questions. I know Matt doesn't like my questions, but
I like the questions just fine. They break me.
They break your head.
I like them when I'm editing the episode, not when I'm actually participating.
You like them when you dissect them on the OT.
Exactly. Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. And until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch. Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes.
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at BenchwarmersTP.